Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's talk about Tesla. Let's talk about essentially what's happening in the market, what's happening to Tesla, what's happening in general. And yeah, so all that being said and done, as per usual, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button as it does help a lot. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section is live. The link is down below in the description of the video for just $2.99 a month. You know, very cheap. I try making it very, I don't know, reasonable. At least I think it is. But you know, you get access to my intraday thoughts, posts, updates on charts, technical analysis, options flow on Tesla every day as it's happening. So if you're interested, the link is down below. But let's just get right into it. The market is closing now. Tesla closing at a beautiful rally of just over 2.5%, closing at $175.73 per share, which compared to the market is, yeah, pretty much following the market today, right? Pretty much more or less in line with the market after a massive day, FOMC, JPOW, etc. So we'll briefly discuss that, but I just want to touch on something. I saw some comments say that I should lay off the caffeine before I record these videos. I actually don't drink caffeine, believe it or not. If I do drink coffee or tea, it's pretty much always decaf. For good reason, as I'm sure you can tell. Imagine this, but on caffeine. That's why I don't do it. Anyway, so let's talk about it, right? So what does this all mean moving forward for Tesla? So, you know, beautiful close on Tesla today, right? We did close above that, 175 level that I've been talking about for quite some time, 174, 175. We've been saying how that's a pretty crucial level. And we officially closed above it today, right? That's a damn good sign. Now, there are still some concerns, and there's still overall a major concern for Tesla, but short term, there is potential here. We're actually creating some potential here. I will say with the caveat here, and this is for the market in general, I'm very curious how tomorrow goes. The reason I'm very curious how tomorrow goes is because, so we had FOMC, we had the rate cut, or I guess no cut, whatever, decision. We had JPOW at the conference, if you will, right? And the market obviously rallied on it. The market is green as can be today, beautiful green today. But there's been many times where I've seen the market essentially, let's say for instance, go this green and just then the next day it reverses, sometimes even more so, or the opposite. Like maybe let's say it was red today, but then tomorrow it'll reverse. Like I've seen that happen pretty often. Doesn't mean it'll happen tomorrow. I'm not saying it will, but I've just seen it happen many times. So I'm very curious to see what happens tomorrow. I think personally, if the market does sell off tomorrow, maybe like it digests the news and sells off tomorrow, I actually think the market will be selling off into pretty good support now because a lot of resistance was broken today in the market. For instance, like Apple, I think it'll just sell off, most likely back down to somewhere around 176, 175, which should just be an opportunity. Like I think Tesla, we'll talk about this Tesla a little bit more, but like, can potentially sell off back into this area that we just broke out of and closed. Oops, man, I hate when I move these back. So I wish I can, I can lock them. I'm not sure why I'm not locking. I should just be locking this. Anyway, with Tesla, potentially selling off back into this little area that we just broke out, right? Which is essentially this kind of, 175 to like 173, we'll say, area. Very possible. But in theory, it should be an opportunity. In theory, of course, things can change. Now, I do want to mention something quickly here, right? Even though we did close above my 175 level, right? Phenomenal, of course. I did exit my position before the market closed just in case, because again, I personally want to see tomorrow. Like I've seen these traps a lot of the times. I just want to make sure it's not another one tomorrow. But, there was some flow, right? A lot of puts coming in before close. You might see a pullback, right? Right before the option, the market closed, like not too long before. You can see like about 10 minutes before the market closed, some puts coming in, right? Same with here. Bears not trusting this move. Some puts coming in about 15 minutes before the market closed, all for 167.5. All for next month, the 19th, right? And you can see they're all at the ask. So one of them is actually even above the ask, 741K, which we have right here. You can see above the ask, 167, almost 800K put, right? In a sea of bulls, though, a lot of very short-term bullish calls that came in pretty much the second JPOW was nearing finishing talking, and especially after he finished talking, and kind of before too. But like anyway, throughout that whole conference, a lot of calls came in on Tesla, a lot of short-term, very important short-term for this Friday calls came in. So again, because they're very, very short-term, this could mean that this move up doesn't last very long because, these very short-term, like literally expiring in 2 days, could be taking profits, right? Of course, just keep that in mind. That is important to understand. So how much weight there is to this move, there's, we have yet to be seen, right? Especially tomorrow, because again, I've seen these traps a lot of times. Could be tomorrow, doesn't have to be. I'm just saying, better being cautious than left holding massive bags, right? But, that's the concern. That is a concern, that there are bears that are still coming in pretty aggressively here, that they're not convinced. Now, if we go over to the 65-minute chart, right, overall looks pretty solid, honestly, right? Pretty damn solid. We broke above, what obviously was a massive support here, obvious massive resistance here, and we broke above it. So just through just raw technical analysis like this, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a good start. We talked about how, in order for the bullish thesis to even have a chance at gaining any legs for Tesla and to potentially even reverse the trend, which has not been reversed. I want to make that very clear. Just breaking above 175 has not reversed the trend. I'll talk about what, in my opinion, would cause the trend for Tesla to actually reverse and for Tesla to actually be bullish, for the next few months even, right? This could just be a very, very short-term bullish momentum, but nonetheless, still something. Could be an opportunity that the bears are seeing is the fact that, this kind of descending channel here, which, could be a bit of an issue where, it started off over here, right? You can see we got resisted right over here. Now we're coming almost perfectly, just absolute perfection right back into the top of the channel, right into higher volume. So this is maybe what the bears are kind of eyeballing, and they're not taking it. Like they're like, no, we don't accept this move. It's coming back down. We'll see if they're right tomorrow and probably even maybe the day after. But that's probably what they're seeing. But again, taking any biasness aside and just looking at it raw and just the technical analysis, it's good. I think Tesla is setting up for a potentially short-term move here. Go back in the daily quickly, right? Potentially up to about the low to mid 180s, like 181 to as high as like 183, maybe 4. It wouldn't surprise me over the course of the next few days to a week. Like, it really wouldn't shock me, but we will be approaching some substantial resistance pretty darn soon. For instance, we have the two lines over here. So this green kind of channel right here, you can kind of see this, a green, like almost like a Bollinger Band, right? It's called the acceleration band. And the line in the middle, the green line, is essentially just a 20-day moving average, which is a phenomenal moving average, by the way. It's like probably one of the strongest, in my opinion, not one of the strongest, but a very powerful for like momentum. Combine that with the 21 EMA, beautiful stuff, right? But the daily, you can see we're still below both the 21 EMA and essentially the 20-day moving average in massive volume above us, and also the massive trend line above us, which is this yellow line right here, which is pretty much, if that happens anytime, let's say this week, will be pretty much 182 roughly, give or take, of course. So that is going to be a major resistance still, right? We're entering some very massive turbulence right above us, not too far. And I talked about this, right? I talked about how if we do close above 175, and in my opinion, there is a very, respectable chance of moving up into this resistance. But again, massive resistance. Now, what I'd want to see for the trend to truly shift, like I said, this was step number 1, but it's a small step. Like, the major steps are this: breaking above this yellow line and essentially closing daily candles above the 21 EMA and also this 20-day moving average, essentially, right? That'll be step number 2. That's the next thing I'll be looking at, which, in my opinion, is going to give Tesla a lot stronger legs moving forward. And if that can happen, right, so that plus breaking above this yellow trend line, which is pretty much more or less in line with these two moving averages I just talked about, beautiful stuff. That'll be actually potentially quite bullish, potentially powerful reversal on its way, right? But the true reversal is essentially making a higher high above this level over here, which is 205 to 206. If we ever make a higher high above this, that would be step number 3. And to me, that would be probably what solidifies the fact that Tesla, at least medium term, has put in a pretty strong bottom, and we should see Tesla at the very least come back up to the top of the channel within the next couple of months, assuming we break this high. Those are the steps I'm looking at. Today we achieved step number 1. It was the easiest step. It was probably the least meaningful step, but we obviously can't achieve step 2 and 3 without step 1. So that's good. We have that. Step 2 will be harder. Step 3 will be even harder. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Now, taking a look at the daily as well, right? We have the RSI still below 50, but looking like it wants to, potentially get a bit of a move here, which is nice to see. MACD still bearish, but curling up and on the verge of flipping bullish. If we have a green day tomorrow, especially if we move up to 180, this should flip bullish. So we'll see how it plays around that. But MACD is looking like it has some potential, right? But this also could just be a resistance point, and it just comes back to the green line to retest the red line just to move further down. That is a possibility because we have the chats indicator still well into the purple, and I don't think this one will break out anytime soon until at least we break step number 2. I think if step number 2 that I just talked about is broken and we can get above that area that I talked about, which pretty much will be around 185, we'll just say, to make it simple, I think this will give it potentially enough room to actually break out of the purple zone, which will be another bullish signal. But so far, we're kind of getting a lot of mixed signals here, where again, short term, there is some potential bullish momentum setting up, but again, it's going to be heading us right into massive, massive turbulence like I said, in the low to mid 180s. So I'll be eyeballing that very quickly, especially with the bears still coming in with their puts, even though there's a lot of short-term bullish, whales, which could be what pushes us up to about 180 to 182-ish. The bears are still betting that this move up is just short-term, and then there's still more pain ahead. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Nobody knows for sure, right? If you did know, you'd be exceptionally rich. We're all just kind of seeing what we can see in the chart and making our own conclusion. That's just kind of how it works, right? But like I said, though, this is a good start. This is definitely a good start. I think personally, as of right now, any pullbacks in the markets, so let's say starting tomorrow, depending on how steep they are, of course, should just be opportunities. I really think they should only be opportunities, unless, of course, we start breaking pretty important levels. That would be a little bit concerning. For instance, for Apple, if we come back down and we start breaking below 175, concerning. Okay, that's a little bit too much of a pullback. Otherwise, it's an opportunity. That's just an example of what I'm looking at. Why? Because, Apple is going to be essentially retesting this yellow trend breakdown. This is kind of what Tesla's in right now, but Apple's already sort of doing, right? This is that yellow trend line that Tesla also has. Pretty much the same idea, except Apple's already breaking through it, right? Apple's already breaking through the daily 21 EMA and the daily 20-day moving average. You can see in this massive candle. This is essentially what Tesla needs to do for step number 2. Apple did it literally today. Now I want to see Apple come back and retest that. Personally, that's what I want to see. And then I will enter long, right? But this is what Tesla is essentially, or what I'm waiting or expecting at some point, at least, Tesla to do. Pretty much exactly what Apple did today. Just to give you a better idea as to what I am, eyeballing moving forward. And you can also see how Apple, had that nice MACD crossover bullish, came out of the purple zone as it was inside of it. Pretty much doing everything that Tesla wants to be doing, right? We'll see. That's kind of the main thing I'm looking at right now. Still, it's too early to tell for sure, but it's a damn good start for the bulls. It's promising, has potential. And as usual, I'll keep our members updated, from what I'm seeing, if I'm noticing anything important. But Tesla's still lagging behind, in all honesty, relative to the way Apple also fell pretty sharply and already recovered pretty nicely, honestly. Tesla is definitely having a little more issues recovering into what would be a more bullish situation. But it's close. It's close. It's getting there. We're approaching the second boss. You know what I mean? The final boss being, of course, this, making a new higher high. But we're approaching a pretty major boss here. We'll see how it plays out. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think down below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. Now, I do want to make it clear, by the way, if we do reject, let's say the bears do it. Let's say this does end up being false. And let's say we do start coming back down. Pretty much starting tomorrow. And tomorrow is a massive sell-off. As long as Tesla, in my opinion, doesn't go pretty much below 173, ish, it's an opportunity. If Tesla starts losing 173 again, though, I think the move down isn't done. And I think at the very least, we come back down to gap fill at this 160s level, if not potentially come actually back down into the 150s level, which will be pretty much the bottom of this channel right over here. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it, right? But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And as usual, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.